stolen car.
3 of the 4 tires, we've been told, have been flattened, so he's either on the rims or will soon be on the rims at this point. And Dennis Zine, who is a former city councilman and former LAPD, is with us, and he's sort of doing a play-by-play, if you will, of what's going on here. We have been told that perhaps there is a weapon in the car. We don't know that for sure, but apparently, at least by some reports, a gun had been spotted. And Dennis Zine, I've often heard, and you are former LAPD, so you can confirm or debunk this, but I've often heard that law enforcement is particularly concerned about any pursuit, but especially any pursuit that lasts longer than 60 seconds, because the longer things go, the more anxious and perhaps the more escalation you get with these things. Is that true?
Well, there's adrenaline when the pursuit begins. There's a lot of adrenaline, and then as it continues, the adrenaline starts to dissipate, start to get more control, getting more units. This now at this speed, there's probably not much adrenaline from the officers that are pursuing. It's not a high-speed pursuit, but initially when you get in a pursuit, that adrenaline's pumping, and you want to watch that individual, you want to watch the other traffic, you want to watch for pedestrians, you want to make sure that no innocent person is involved, and you want to apprehend that individual who's fleeing in a safe manner. So what you see in this particular situation, going on almost an hour, those officers are very calm. The demeanor is appropriate, and they're just going to follow this until he decides to stop or the car gives out. But if he just got released from jail, he knows the system, and he's gone through it before. And whoever owns that car, obviously they don't want to see that car damaged, because that's their pride and joy. So how he got in that car, how he got the girlfriend in the car, and how this whole thing began is going to be questioned through the investigation. But one way or another, he's going to be going to jail. She may be going to jail along with him. If she's a willing participant, and not stopping if they've committed some crime prior to this situation where the pursuit began. But as you see, there's a whole army of units behind as we continue down the roadway, and there's no parked traffic, there's no pedestrians. Again, this is an ideal situation for spike strips, but obviously they've deployed those. That hasn't stopped them. Pit maneuver, that would be ideal location with the speed, with the conditions. But again, you've got that concern of a weapon. So the officers are very calm, but the first 60 seconds, that tells the picture. Is there going to be a high speed? Is it going to be a low speed? What are the other factors? Are there children
Dennis,
in the car?
it looks like he's slowing down there.
Yes, he is. And you've got some good camera view. The people in that helicopter are doing a great job with the camera view. If you'd open his sunroof, we'd have a good view of him inside that car.
And
but
it
the
looks
windows
like
are up.
It
The
has
windows are
stopped.
up. Now he's stopping. He's stopping.
Now the question is he going to stay stopped?
Well, does he have a choice? The car might not go any further.
Well, it's unless it's run out of gas, because he's been running on those rims, on the 3 rims.
Right.
He's got that one tire. So now we've got to stop. So they're going to hold back.
The window's
They're not going
down.
to approach.
His
He's
arms
hanging
are
out of the window.
Now it's a critical time. Now we have the adrenaline pumping again. They're going to approach. They're not going to get too close unless he takes off again or he jumps out and runs. If he runs, he'll have a number of units, probably K9 chasing him.
And here's the thing, Dennis. Usually in this situation, what you would advise is that he just listen to the police officers and follow their commands. Is that not right?
Well, they would be ordering commands right now. To
And
get out.
he's
having
talking
a
back.
Conversation. Yeah.
He's
very-
having a conversation with
He
them.
seems very animated.
They'll order him out of the car, and obviously he's having a conversation, but he's not complying, exiting the vehicle. So it looks like he's arguing with them by his gestures.
Yeah.
At least his hands are out.
Well, his hands are out, but we don't know about the girlfriend, if in fact there's still a weapon in the car. And if there's no weapon in the car, this could have been taken down a lot earlier. That's what really puts the kink in this. And the fact is, if there is in fact a weapon, and they're going to err on the side of caution and reasonableness, and they're not going to take the chance of getting hurt or hurt an individual who could even be the girlfriend. So if it turns out there's no weapon in the car, just a slow-speed pursuit of a stolen car, they'll go to jail, the car will be impounded. But you have an army of officers that are being pulled for this detail away from their normal assignments, and the people who need police service in that particular area are probably going to have a delay just because you've got so many units tied up in this.
Well,
but you've
clearly
got officers out there.
It's a waste of resources. They shouldn't have to deploy
you see,
this many people.
The officers have their weapons. They've got their
They have their weapons drawn.
They're either shotguns or AR-15s.
Right.
They're not using the sidearms. So there's a concern that he may have a weapon. You wouldn't see them with those weapons unless that was the case. But they're taking a place of cover. This conversation how long is this going to go on, or he's going to take off again. But it's just a wait and see at this particular stage. Once the officers are barking orders, they're probably using the megaphone on the police vehicle, ordering him out, telling him what to do.
So we're seeing a
Unfortunately,
number of units behind the car. What are there any in front of this car? Can we widen out and take a look?
I think there are probably some that were out
Way
there
ahead, way
breaking,
ahead, yeah.
breaking intersections, holding up
Yeah.
the intersections. So as it stands now, everything's going to be status. They're going to block traffic on that
Standstill.
roadway, whatever roadway this is, north and south, east or west. So everything's going to come to a standstill until he decides to get out of that car and is taken into custody. Once he's taken into custody, now we see a nice view. It's a desolate area. It's a perfect area to take someone into custody.
Yeah, I was about to say, at least there aren't people around to perhaps be hurt by this, other than the officers who, needless to say, are also putting their lives on the line here by.
Exactly.
The door's opening, the passenger,
passenger
side
door is opening, and he's
So
still
maybe the-
hanging out of the driver's side.
So now if the passenger gets out, now the window, when he's back
Looks
in,
like
the window's open.
She's coming out.
And
So
she's
now we
she's
have-
complying. She's
There we go.
complying.
Hands up, walking
But see,
backwards.
he's got one arm out. He's got one arm in the car. So now she looks like she's exiting the vehicle.
His hands are still
Hands
out.
up.
She is clearly
She's-
complying with, it seems, with the officer's commands.
She's complying. Yes, she's complying. Walking back, making sure that she complies. So they'll get her on the ground, take her into custody. So she's obviously cooperated at this stage. He's still got both arms out, both hands out. He's
So
not
they have
exiting
her
the
now.
car.
She's in custody now.
Yep.
They want him. They want him, and she's obviously secondary. They want to get him out of that car. He's the one who's the main individual in this particular situation.
He's the principal.
He is the principal. She's secondary. So now they're going to take her into custody. She's complying.
It seems like he's
She'll get the
still
handcuffs.
talking to them.
And what does he have in his hand? Does he have something there in his hand?
It doesn't do a
It's
bottle.
unknown. It seems to go in and out. It seems now he's out, both arms, both hands
Right.
out of the car.
And he's
It
holding
seems
something.
that
There could be a can
there's-
or a bottle or something.
It seems there's something in the right.
Right.
Yes.
The right hand,
In the right
a
hand.
bottle?
Yeah, it looks like it might be a bottle or a can or something like that. Yeah.
So he's still having the conversation. Fortunately, she's out of the car, so she's now in safe custody of the officers. At the instant, the situation is they've got to get him out one way or another. And if there's no weapon, then they can rush on the car. But the fact is, he could have a weapon next to the seat.
Right.
They're not going to take that chance. They
I
want
mean,
to
they
get him
could
out.
question the girlfriend, but
You
still,
don't know if
you
she's-
don't know,
you don't know if she's telling the truth.
exactly. So that's
you're not
not
gonna believe
exactly
what she
comforting,
says.
right?
That's not. She's not going to be a.
She's
a
not
witness
credible.
That they're going to have
No, not at
any
this
credibility.
point.
But this will last until he decides voluntarily to exit that car. They're not going to throw tear gas in the car. It's just a wait and see at this particular stage
Well, at
while
this
this drama
point,
continues.
the options are really limited. There are no options, so he could just drag this thing out.
Well, he could stay in that car, and this has happened
Yeah.
in the past, where they stay in the car and then they bring the SWAT team out and they put tear gas in the car if it goes to that extreme. But
Well, it's
they're not
interesting.
gonna-
It's
they're
interesting. You
not
should.
going to approach.
It's interesting you should mention that, Dennis, because we've heard word, and of course, you know, a lot of this, you don't know whether what you're hearing is actually what's going to happen. But we've heard word that the SWAT Bearcat
Yes.
might be brought out. What is that? What would it do, and what difference would it make?
Well, what the Bearcat does is they'll block the car with the Bearcat. They have the ability with the Bearcat, with different armament, different weapons, different technology. They can then make sure that the officers are not injured. They have a lot of different tools at their disposal in the Bearcat that the officers in patrol cars don't have. So there's a lot of options available. We had a pursuit not that long ago. In fact, I was broadcasting it on Fox 11, where they did bring the Bearcat out, and they blocked the car. The individual was in the car, and the Bearcat blocked it, and ultimately they got him out of the car. But it's not unusual in a situation like this where they call the SWAT team, and they'll respond, and they respond with the Bearcat, which is that vehicle that they use for normally rescuing individuals, but it has a lot of technology, a lot of equipment that they can deploy, and that's what may happen in this situation. If he doesn't want to get out of the car because these officers
Oh,
are
that-
not going to approach him while he's in that car.
That is a big bottle.
And now
We
he's-
just looked at a bigger monitor here in the studio, and whatever we thought was in his hand, it's definitely a big bottle of some
Of
sort.
some kind of liquid.
Yeah. Looks
Is it
like
yellow?
a yellowish liquid.
See, it might be beer. It might be a
It,
bottle
it
of beer.
looks that way. We
Yeah.
can't say with any degree of certainty, but it does look
Right.
like it could be, Dennis.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me. Get out of jail, go get a beer, steal a car, have the police chase you, and then now this situation. Now it looks like it's back in the car with this bottle. But
His body language is very animated, a bit aggressive in the way he's
Yes.
speaking back.
well,
But-
normally they're not going to speak back. They're going to get out of the car, comply.
Right.
The game's over. You know, turn around, put your hands up, and go into custody. This person is dragging this out.
Dragging it out.
And he
Or-
may, be impaired. He may be inebriated.
He may be, but they're going to talk to the girlfriend and find out from her any information. Is there a weapon? What's he doing? What's the situation? They're going to interrogate her as quickly as possible, get whatever information they can. So they want to get him in custody. They want to get him in custody as quickly as possible. The Bearcat may be en route.
The car's moving a little there. Do you see that? Uh-oh.
Yeah, but he's not-
Uh-oh.
Now he's going to go again.
Wait a
The
minute.
passenger door is open.
The passenger door just closed.
Well, the car lurched forward.
Not very fast.
It just, but see, he's not really in control of that turning around as he is in the seat. There we go. Well, yeah, I think that was just maybe his foot slipped off of something because he's not in a position to drive away, leaning out the car like we see.
And
But it
earlier, we believe we did see him taking some what appeared to be pills.
He was throwing something in his mouth.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that. And the helicopter did a great photo. I mean, they were really up to it, and they've given great coverage from the air. But as we see right now, it's just a wait and see, and this will continue until the Bearcat arrives or some other device is employed versus the officers running up on the car. They're not going to be doing that. It's just too hazardous, especially with his bizarre behavior right now. So this may
It's
continue
just a waiting
for,
game.
It is. But then those roads are blocked off. All those units are tied up. Everybody's waiting to see what he's going to do. And if he got out of jail, he's been through jail before, so he knows the system. And he'll just drag this out as long as he can. But the police need to bring it to an end in a peaceful manner as quickly as they can. You see the number of units that they have. They're going to stay with this until this comes to an end.
Well, the thing is, the reports that he was just released from jail, and now it looks like obviously he's going to head back in the same direction. When you have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose.
Well, there's no question. After this particular situation, he's going back to jail. He would definitely get booked on this and whatever other charges.
What's that in his hand? Right hand. He just grabbed something. Is that a weapon?
I can't tell what he's got. They've used that in the past. Again, they don't want to approach him and cause hazard to themselves. Again, you don't have to worry about the public because there's no public in that area.
Right.
So this is a unique situation, but it's a safe situation as far as endangering the public. There's no public in danger at this particular time. The only hazard would be for the officers. And these officers have certain equipment in their vehicles, but the SWAT team, the equipment they have, can be employed for this. So there's a lot
there's
of
something
officers they
coming
have.
up there. There it is. There it is, right there.
The Bearcat's coming up.
That's what it appears to be. Yes.
I haven't-
It
I
looks.
don't-
I don't know if you can see it, Dennis. It's right there in front. It's right there in front of the car. It's right in front of the car. It looks like an armored vehicle.
There you go. That's it. There it is. That's the Bearcat. That's exactly what we predict is going to happen. So they've responded out. They've got a lot of options with that. So he's not going to go anyplace with that in front of him. But those officers have a lot different equipment they can employ. But this, again, has been utilized successfully in the past, and I think you'll see how they utilize it again. It's a wonderful tool called a rescue vehicle. And when that North Hollywood shootout a number of years ago,
Yes.
where they had to use a Brinks truck, and I was
Yes.
at that scene to rescue people. After that, they started to obtain these vehicles, rescue vehicles.
Well,
And
I
they're
covered that
very
live
good.
on the air, Dennis. I remember that well. I covered it live on the air, and it was a horrific scene.
It was horrific, and that it's interesting that after that situation, no one died, but there were some officers that passed away after that were involved in that tragedy, that bank robbery on Lankershim Boulevard. I believe it was like Laurel Canyon. I think it was Laurel Canyon.
Yes.
The B of A.
It was the Bank of America there, yes.
B of A. Yeah, I still remember that. And I was at that scene, and those two individuals that were robbing banks with all the weapons that they had, and they were willing to die for the cause, and they both passed away. But a lot of people were injured in that tragedy. We didn't have the rescue vehicles at that time. Now we have these, and most departments have them, and you don't use them every day.
Well,
but when you need them, they're there. They're
and
very, very effective.
looks
And one of the
like-
situations I remember with that particular one, since you brought it up, is that the police were outgunned in that situation.
Well, sure they were good. That's when the officers went to B&B gun sales to get rifles, because the AK-47s that the suspects had, the officers had shotguns and their pistols, and that was it. And they increased the armament of officers after that, got the rescue vehicles, the Bearcats, and they've become more sophisticated as time's gone on. But it's a situation where you don't use that Bearcat every day, but when you need it, as you need it now, it comes into use, and very specific use for those situations, and that's what we see happening right now. So this reduces the hazard to the officers, increases the safety for them, and they will get him out there deploying a plan, whether they're going to put tear gas in that car or use something else to force him out of that car. And that Bearcat has the opportunity with the trained officers in there. They're all SWAT team people. They know how to handle this situation.
And
so that's what you see
It looks
happening.
like the SWAT vehicle is inching closer.
Yes, it
and
does look like it's
closer.
inched closer, and it certainly is close enough to keep him from being able to maneuver out of the situation that he's in.
They must be confident at this point that whatever it is he has in his hand is not a weapon.
No, it appears that it's hard to tell from the view on the screen, but it doesn't look like a weapon.
Right. It
It's
looks
not
like
at all
perhaps a
like
cell
weapon.
phone.
But believe me, if they knew for certain he didn't have a weapon, this could have ended a lot earlier. But the fact is that fear of a weapon causes it to increase in caution, definitely increase in caution for the officers. But again, we're in an ideal situation. You're basically in an abandoned area, an isolated field, no cars, no pedestrians, no bicycle riders, nothing. So it's a sterile scene where you can then take the time, use the tools appropriate to take him into custody, since he's obviously not willing to exit the car, like his girlfriend who was taken into custody. He's unwilling to be taken into custody, so they're going to get him into custody against his will, and he'll go back to jail, where apparently he started out today.
Just moments ago, as we were speaking, we saw him take another drink from his, what appears to be a beer bottle, just killing some time, taking his time, no hurry, no rush. But as you mentioned, it is the ideal situation, if you can call it that, where there are no other people around, no other drivers, no other cars, no other pedestrians. The road is open and blocked off just for this particular incident. So they're just going to take their time.
And you know,
Exactly.
Dennis, you've seen enough of these things, and so have we. You know, there have been a few times in situations not exactly identical, but very similar situations where there has been a standoff where you had a suspect who was drinking a liquid of some kind, and the pursuit ended, or the standoff ended, because nature called.
Really?
Oh, no, that's happened.
That's happened more than one time.
Yes, it has.
Kind of comical, but it has happened more than one time, where they have to relieve themselves, shall we say?
Well, that
and
might
they,
be
they
next.
do that. They exit the car, but there's not many places in this particular area to relieve themselves, because you got open fields and a highway. There's no place to hide. I mean, he's in a unique location, no place to hide.
No, but an opportunity to have to get out of the car. It looks like, it looks like he's moving.
Well, he
Oh,
set
put
down
he
the
put
bottle.
the bottle down.
And they're still talking.
Oh,
they're
he's
still
opening
talking
the
to him.
door. Opening the door.
He's putting his hands up. It looks like he's about to surrender. At least that's the
Yes.
impression he's giving.
It's about time.
Oh,
I'm
Does
telling
he
you, I
not-
think he may.
does he?
Well, he doesn't have.
Oh no, shorts.
He has shorts. He doesn't have pants on.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a slight delay from with the view you're seeing, the view
I
that I'm
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
a slight delay.
But he has his hands on his
Hands up.
head.
Now I see him getting out of the car.
Right?
And now he had his hands on his head, and then he started waving again. You're not supposed to do that, Dennis.
No, you're not.
No.
You're supposed to follow direction. But he may be intoxicated a bit also.
Exactly. That's
definitely
what we
impaired.
were speculating could be the case.
Yeah. So now he's facing the officers,
Facing
but
the
the SWAT
officers.
team's behind him. And again, the time's on the side of the officers. They were in no rush. They want to take him into custody, but it's not like they have to open up the freeway. Everything's
It looks
static.
like he's taking his shirt off now. There
Well,
it
they want to
goes.
make sure he doesn't have a weapon. That wouldn't be uncommon to
Uh-huh.
take off the shirt to make sure there's no weapon, that he's not hiding. Again, that creates a whole new environment when they have the fear that the individual has a weapon. And that's
Right.
stated at one time during the situation. So now we see,
And he continues to gesture, gesticulate, and just
Yelling.
have a conversation in a fairly aggressive way.
yeah, well, he's not happy. In the
He's
situation
agitated.
he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely agitated.
He's very agitated. But what we see
It
happening
almost
now,
seems like he doesn't know what to do.
well, they're telling him what to do. He just
Yeah,
doesn't
but
want
he
to.
seems confused.
Walk toward us, turn around, put your hands up. It's pretty
Go
simple.
back. Go backwards. There you go.
And he's having trouble walking backwards, which anyone could, but if he's intoxicated, it's going to be even more difficult.
But see, whichever way he goes, if he decides to run, the canine's going to jump on him.
Right.
So I don't think he's going to jump over the barrier and take off. He's surrounded. There's no way he's going to escape from here. He's going to hopefully cooperate and put this to an end. So he's walking slowly. They're probably going to get him on the ground, but it's probably going to be a little warm on that cement, on that asphalt. But they don't have him in custody yet. So
No.
he keeps his hands up. Keep your hands up as you cooperate with the direction of the officers, who are telling him exactly what they want him to do.
He's
And they see
walking
those
backwards
officers-
now. He's walking backwards.
Slowly
He's
walking
more stumbling backwards,
Well, yeah.
So he's
He's been drinking.
well, he's definitely been drinking. He definitely appears to be intoxicated.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he's not cooperating. So now he's doing what he's supposed to do, or what they're telling him to do, what they're directing him to do. But there's, he could have something in his pocket or his waistband. Unlikely at this particular juncture, but they want to make sure. They want to make certain that he doesn't have any kind of weapon. And then once that's determined, then they'll put the cuffs on him, and away he goes. They'll impound the car, find out from the girlfriend the story, and put
but
this
and
to rest.
you have to assume that he's impaired because I mean,
His
usually,
behavior.
Dennis, when it gets to this point, they know they are done.
Right.
So for him to continue trying to converse with the officers tells you there's something else going on there.
Well, he knows where he's going. He knows he's going to jail. There's no question in his mind. He's obviously no hurry to get there. And while
Down
he
he
was drinking,
goes.
it looked like it was beer. So you see the officers have their weapons out to make certain until he's in custody.
And they still have to check that car out since it's so darkly tinted to make sure there
Right.
isn't anyone else in there. Is that right?
Exactly. There could be someone hiding in the back seat, and that's happened before. Unlikely, but they want to verify. And this is a tactical situation where once he's in custody, they'll approach the car. But as you see, the officers who are deployed appropriately, one officer is telling him what to do. Other officers are giving cover. If he were to do anything right now, if he were to take off running, that canine would be on him
Yeah, the
so
canine's
quickly.
ready to go.
They're ready to go. And that dog is anticipating, but that's why that dog is there, and it's a very useful tool.
There we go. They're approaching him now, and they got him.
They have him.
They have him.
You see the canine's on the top left.
Right.
So he's finally cooperating. Finally giving.
Now, it's very interesting, Dennis. He's being taken into custody, and now we've seen the Bearcat move in between the cruisers and the car, which is still there. And now it's backing back.
Well, the Bearcat came. It didn't do anything, but it was there, probably developing a tactical plan. And in the meantime, he decided, let me get out of the car and finally surrender.
All
right,
right.
well-
That standoff took a long time.
It did.
While he was parked on that roadway, and
Thanks
now
for
it's
your
called
for your
now
help
it's called-
today.
It's a code 4. Now it's a code 4.
Yeah.
It is a code for Dennis Zine, former LA City Councilman and former LAPD. Thank you so much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
I'm still a reserve with the LAPD,
Oh.
pushing almost 50 years, so I'm still active.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, there you go. And so he's still a reserve officer with the LAPD. Dennis Zine, thanks so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
expert
much.
analysis and all of the information. Really appreciate it. It's always good to hear from you. And here you have it. This has come to a successful conclusion, given that no one was hurt.
A peaceful conclusion.
A peaceful conclusion. A suspect is in custody along with his girlfriend, who we believe was with him willingly.
And he's going back to jail, apparently, because he was released this morning.
And again, it's going to be a while before traffic patterns are able to get back to normal, but at least it's over peacefully.